We wanted to show them that not everything is lost and that there are people ready to lend a helping hand and support them in their endeavors. To us, many of these schools are like phoenixes rising from the ashes because they have been completely destroyed. They have nothing left, but we can give them at least some hope. Even a small amount of that's material assistance, which can help them start to rebuild their lives, because life goes on. Children continue to perform in competitions, continue to study, and continue to somehow plan their future, although many of them were already born during the war that began in 2014. So they practically don't know what life without war is like. I want to believe this will be a new continuation and a fresh breath in the information component, information policy, or even cultural diplomacy. Because one of the goals, why are we doing this, is to remain at the European information level once again, so Ukrainian artists can perform on European stages, and so we can continue reminding everyone that the war in Ukraine is ongoing. And so we can fundraise money to help music schools, or for humanitarian aid, or for some reconstruction, for anything that could be useful for Ukrainians and for our future.
My name's Robbie Tolson and I am the founder of Turn the Tables. This trip has been one of the most inspiring trips I've ever had in my life and I will never forget it.
Hi everyone, my name is Pavla, Slívová, and I come from Czech Republic. I'm representing Kalazo Ostrava Festival.
I didn't expect that to be such a massive experience, really. And inspiring indeed, but it's always this kind of, tough inspiration.
I'm Maiju Talvisto. I come from Helsinki, Finland. I'm acting executive director of our festival and co-director of She Said So Finland. And I've been a board member of Europe. I think it was important for me to see things firsthand. Even though I've been reading a lot, many of these things focus on political sides of things and not about how normal people react, how it affects normal people's lives.
My name is Mikko Niemelä. I'm the CEO and promoter of Ruisrock Festival in Turku, Finland, and now I'm a music ambassador here in Ukraine.
I think throughout this trip I've had so many different emotions, but also seeing all this destruction, that's a completely different emotion. I don't even know what it's called. It's heartbreak, but it's like way deeper than that.
My name is Winston Tiffson. I am a trustee of Turn the Tables and I am a DJ and also work as a senior people partner in human resources in the UK.
My name is Vaidas. I come from Lithuania, from Vilnius. I run a record label and concert agency in Lithuania, promoting international shows, producing local artists.
You can't be prepared for that. And even you are even I grown up in that kind of environment, it's like normal people can never get used to this kind of situation. And it's 2025, and if you ask me, war shouldn't exist in 2025.
I'm Elena Natale. I run a techno-electronic club, which is of capacity of up to 1,300 people when it's at its best.
It was harder for us to gather people this year because of our ongoing negotiations. Actually, many people in Ukraine are simply waiting for the end of hostilities, though for us this could be a huge blow, including territorial concessions and a betrayal of the memory of those who died.
Almost synced up, so here is all of us. You already can see that we have a bit of a Christmas spirit here. For those who didn't know yet, I mean, all of you know Carol of the Bells. I don't know how many of you know that it's a Ukrainian song with its origins, and it is. It's a song called Shadrik, which makes it very bittersweet right now because it was made in Ukraine, and it was made in Pokrovsk, which is the harshest place of the front line right now in Ukraine. My Ukrainian composer Mykola Leontovich, who was murdered by the USSR regime as the song was already playing all across the world and in the Americas, and then it turned into Carol of the Bells, which is a quite fascinating story and right now so symbolic. But yeah, Carol of the Bells is one of those very special things that Ukraine made.
Терор – це традиційний інструмент РФ, який Москва використовує для тиску.
Операція після удару керованою авіабомбою.
7 людей загинуло, серед них 6-річна дівчинка Софія. І щонайменше 144 людини отримали поранення, серед них 15 дітей.
І все сталося раптово, дуже швидко. Свист і вибух, і ніби полум'ям обдало.
Удар прийшовся прямісінько по Чернігівському драмтеатру.
14 березня був перший приліт. Це було 2 ракети, які одразу зруйнували глядацьку залу. Просто жахались. Ми не вірили до останнього, щоб взагалі нічого не вціліло. Але ліпнина все так само зберігає історію.
It's a pleasure for me to be here and honor to be part of Music Ambassador Tour 2025. Reason why I decided to come, it's because I'm coming from Serbia. I grown up in a war, so we had many different kind of wars, and including bombing in 1999. So I was too young to go for the army, but it was my childhood and my high school. I spent in the shelters and in different kind of wars. I can feel the struggle and terrible times you're going through, and for me this tour was a way of me supporting Vlad and all brave people from Ukraine.
At 9 a.m. all over Ukraine we have a minute of silence for those who have fallen. The whole of the road on Khreshchatyk gets closed, everyone leaves their cars, everyone stands up, it's in public transport, it's literally everywhere. At 9 a.m. basically the whole country freezes and people just spend a minute commemorating everyone who we have lost. We've had it at the countdown in the railway station just before you arrived.
It's of course very emotional to see this place which you have heard so many years about, and now it's still going on, and all these lives that are lost.
Well, I come from Finland, and I think Finnish people are quite level-headed about these things, and they, of course, supported me coming here. And, well, a week before the trip, they kind of got this thought that maybe, is this wise? But nobody said that I shouldn't go, because it's a thing that we have experienced war. Of course, it's a long time ago, but it still haunts us today. We are an independent country now, but what is happening all over the world, what is happening here, it's not guaranteed that any country could hold their independence or take it for granted. Any country shouldn't take it for granted, apparently.
The first day of the tour is always more of an introductory day for us. We walk around Kyiv and introduce our ambassadors to historical landmarks and everything else we would like them to see.
So I think before I arrived in Ukraine, my expectation was I didn't think it would be so lively still. I expected the streets to be really empty. I expected there not to be life going on as much as it is. But then when I arrived and when I landed, I understand now that life has to go on and people have to go on, and also understand that the Ukrainian culture and the Ukrainian people have got that tradition embedded within them that they just will go on, which is amazing to see.
This is the house where I was brought up, and I spent almost all my childhood here, and I spent a lot of time in workshop with my grandfather, and that is why I wanted to dedicate something for him, for his great influence on me, because he formed me, he brought me up, he taught me how to live, how to love, how to play sopilka, actually this wooden Ukrainian flute. That is why I named my solo artist project Onuka. It's the granddaughter in Ukrainian, and this was the beginning of my connection with my grandfather. And this house is 120 years old, and you can see these slates from the wood.
You can see it only here in this region. It was a big tradition, and unfortunately now it's damages, and there is an association who helped and worked on save these cultural aspects and renovating house all over the Chernihiv city, and so this is important for Chernihiv and important for us. By the way, it's 100% handmade in ancient times, but during the renovation of this house we missed about 4 pieces of that, and we asked for help for modern engineering machine to cut it, and this is also the place where we go today.
The last place we would go to this making.
On our second day, we dedicated our time to the important theme of recovery. We had the opportunity to visit the incredible place, Fabrishna 12. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Onuka and the mannequin for their warm welcome and for showing us everything.
This place has transformed into some cultural space where Nata inviting some popular artists, musicians to have a chat, to talk, have a podcast, and play couple songs live. Each time it's like a challenge for us. Sometimes we bring the orchestra musicians to help out to sing our guests. Sometimes we use a real drum kit. So our neighborhood is really hyped a little bit about this. Yeah. First time we did it, we have a police call, but we figured it out, and definitely this story of this house says that music constantly plays here.
We shot here Jamala, Dahabraha, Marina Krut, Porihi Batich, the most outstanding and world-known
original
folk music artists, which are really creators of art during a big war. And the third, the main tough and important option for me is a renovation of making musical instruments. My grandfather was a chief of experimental department on musical factory. Chernihiv had the biggest musical factory in the USSR and in Europe.
500 upright pianos per day.
Yeah, so the scale was the hugest, and then it was just abandoned. There is no factory no more.
It was bankrupt somehow, it's closed, and the rest of the building was bombed.
Yes, and now there's just empty place, empty space, and my big and huge goal is to renovate some kind of factory, not
the 500 pianos, but some
way. And now we are working on this renovation of sopilka. It's wooden flute. It's the main instrument I play. Those instrument who is the most outstanding and famous instrument in Ukraine. I think that wooden flute is like a symbol of Ukraine.
This is a big capella of Banduras. This is grandfather and grandmother. This is mama. Not as mom. This is not the brothers. He played trumpet. A little bit of ceilings, and the rest we just keep it how it was.
I spent a lot of time during my childhood here, and my grandfather was making instruments right here. When he retired from this factory, he made all instruments, all renovation right here. He has a big jet of different devices, equipment, so everything was here with with fresh wood, and actually here he renovated instrument of Taras Shevchenko. It was the biggest deal of his life because this instrument was really ancient, very damaged, in bad condition, and he made it look like it was brand new, and he had a lot of prizes for this project. And I remember this instrument here in this room, and when he died and when my grandma became very old, this house was in very poor condition. It was very silent, very dark and very empty, and I promised her that we would never sell this house, and I would try to make it live at once and to continue its living.
You get back home and you really feel kind of out of place in a way. You live much more than just your time here. You live some part of your soul when you travel to Ukraine. That's really amazing. Feels like in Ukraine there is probably much more attention to what's local than in many other European countries, not to mention mine. Which is great because there is no one better than us, as the poster says, and it's definitely the work that has to be done by the local people, and there is nobody from the outside that's gonna preserve your own traditions. I think that's very important thought that's not every time in the mind of people responsible for these type of heritage sometimes. And also this amazing connection of music and dance with traditional costumes and crafts. I think that's also very interesting, that this connection is not broken anyhow, which is taking place, for example, in Poland for sure, where these are like kind of separate worlds and separate communities, while here they very mingle easily and kind of connect with each other and get amplifying each other very, very good.
I put it on my laptop, and after all, it's now. We don't have any lyrics on it, but this is how we started. just recording, mumbling something, and after it becomes the full song.
A unique place we visited in Chernihiv was the Peremoha Center, where sopilkas, traditional Ukrainian flutes, are being restored using the unique designs of Nata's grandfather Олександр Шліончик.
Це мейкерспейс, який також є, як на мене, чудовим прецедентом, де молодь відновлює радянський закинутий кінотеатр «Перемога», де перероблюють сміття, переплавляють це на пластик, з пластику друкують інструменти за кресленням мого дідуся. І там ми намагаємося відновити відтворення сопілок за дідусовим кресленням уже з дерева. Таким чином хочемо ці древні знання експертизні оновити, осучаснити і через призму сучасної думки передати молоді і таким чином відновити відтворення архаїчних інструментів. Ми почали з сопілок із зозуль або карин, але в моїх величезних амбіціях це знову ж таки відновити фабрику інструментів в такому вигляді, в якому потребує зараз і Чернігів, і Україна.
For our guests, I believe this was truly one of the most fascinating experiences because they observed everything with such enthusiasm, eager to try playing, to see everything up close and to take those memories with.
We have a real kind viewing of what we are doing for. This is not for money. Yeah, for sure, we want to make some VIP extra super class flutes and maybe sell it. But the main reason we just want to bring these instruments all over the Ukraine, especially for the children. For us, the cutting edge technologies and the art or musical aspects it's really cool mixed together. It's surprising for me, but thanks guys that open our eyes that, wow, let's see. Okay, we can do it somehow.
In Trinidad, we have our own traditional music, soca, and calypso, of course, being from the Caribbean. And we hold that very dear to us. Just like yourselves in Ukraine, there's a lot of music that you hold dear to Ukraine, and a lot of traditional music there. A lot of instruments from here as well. In Trinidad, we have the steel pan, was created in Trinidad and Tobago. So I would hate to see, if that never existed ever again, I would absolutely hate to see that, and I feel like we'd be missing out. So within that, the regeneration of instruments, I would love that. I think that's a bridge that we can always connect on. With that, and obviously the traditional music in Trinidad, in the charts you don't really see commercial music from other countries. It's mostly artists from Trinidad and Tobago, and I've seen some of the same over here as well. I met a couple of the artists from over here, and the fact that they're singing Ukrainian is just absolutely amazing, and just keeping that essence of nationality within that. It's two completely separate countries, but two things that are completely the same that we have in common.
Від піврічної окупації, попри регулярне мародерство російських то тільки не жив і росіяни, і бородаті чеченці та дагестанці, але потім
Велика Олександрівка. У березні сюди зайшли росіяни.
Усе понівечено російськими військовими з табличками.
Як примари, пані Світлані довелось прожити в окупації 7 місяців.
Все время плакала, тільки стріляли, я то ховаюся.
Попри регулярне мародерство росіян, свідоме знищення інфраструктури, люди не підкорилися ворогу.
Почали до себе вербувати. Нам такі потрібні. Давай до нас.
У вас крутая школа, простите нас, это все сверху. Осетия, 15-й регион России.
Згоріла військова техніка та вирви від російської зраді.
Таке нині селище Велика Олександрівка на Херсонщині. Воно майже місяць і 7 місяців було в окупації. Росіяни
У нас історичний момент. 7-й батальйон Української добровольчої армії зайшов в центр Великої Олександрівки. Велика Олександрівка, Херсонська область, тепер під українським прапором.
Кажу, перед смертю ми не побачимо навіть дітей. Отако розкидала оця війна.
On the third day, we started our journey in Mykolaiv. This was a crucial logistical point for us because it was the best way to reach the Kherson region. In 2 hours, we arrived in Velika Oleksa Andrivka, where we met the students of the music school we supported this year.
Сьогодні будемо намагатися вам зробити невеличке таке справжнє свято. Ну, а ви, як то кажуть, приймайте свої позиції, всаджуйтесь зручніше і отримуйте задоволення.
I think this day is gonna stay with me for a very long time. Watching the children play instruments and sing with such joy, but so much pain in their eyes, and just I can't imagine what they've been through and what they have seen and what they have experienced. But seeing that they love music and they want to express themselves in music and with music is out of this world. Yeah, I've always thought that music is healing and music has a special place in this world, but today showed me yet again that it's way more than that.
I think this is a very important reminder of how even things are very difficult, there's still children playing and singing, and that's a very powerful emotion. War is the most horrible thing we can do, but still inside there's hope.
Well, I mean, my daughters, which are 2, I mean, they will probably want to know what's going on. They want to know, like, how do you see it in society? And this is probably what we're going to be talking about. It's about that you have these 2 realities. You have the reality which is like in the cities, and then you have the reality which is in the countryside. And you know, what is maybe what we're going to be talking about will be the fact that life goes on, even if it's with like difficulties. You know, I can see that people need to have their communities. They need to have, in this case, you know, what we saw about music schools, about their cultural existence. So the children have to continue learning, and the teacher will continue teaching. What of course is like the hard part is about the infrastructures, because you know so much has been destroyed, and this is obviously like the barbaric side of this. One of the barbaric side of it is like why to destroy places which are like the heart of the community. So I think so this is pretty much what have touched me the most.
We do hear the news that Russia bombs like theaters and places of civilian life and culture, but I think you cannot emphasize it too much that this has nothing to do with war. This is total terrorism to attack places like culture centers or schools. It's it's not war, it's terrorism.
It's a very different experience seeing things on a TV screen to actually being in a building that's been destroyed by a missile. I mean, I expected to see what I saw, but I didn't know how I was going to feel and how hard it would impact me emotionally. But I think what really shined through was the resilience and how the communities are coming together in some of these smaller villages and towns that have been absolutely devastated by the impact of the war. And just how hope still shines through, regardless of everything.
Well, the greatest impression was watching the kids perform for us. For me, it made me cry. It was really like they dressed up for us. 8:30 in the morning, everyone was ready, and they really enjoyed that we were there, giving them the attention, and they did really great. I mean, they did really great. So that was impressive, and it was great seeing how the teachers were proud of them. And I'm sure they will remember this moment for quite a while, so that was great. On the other hand, walking in this cultural house and seeing the destruction, and I just kept asking myself, why? Why would you attack a place like that? Even after you're gone, because it happened in 24 when this was already liberated, so that was horrible. And the headmaster of the school telling us that he had sweets on his table with a message from the Russians, thank you for your hospitality, and the school is in ruins, and the map of the geography that they painted Ukraine yellow like the Russia, just this is the only way they can actually annex Ukraine. But it's really sad, and it's just heartbreaking how awful people can be. So that's really sad. I was really gutted, and I was very touched by the work the music teachers are doing here. It's impressive, and they're very, very dedicated. And I feel they're brave, really brave, and hearing the stories, how they kept on going and how they want to teach the kids, and the kids, they want to be taught, which is also great because it gives them something different, because music is emotions. So it really surprised me in a very, very pleasant way that you can fight this way also, to keep your spirit up.
Слава Україні! Слава морській піхоті! Сьогодні, 4 жовтня 2022 року, Давидів Брід звільнений від орків силами 35-ї окремої бригади морської піхоти, батальйон морської піхоти. Урочисто вішаємо жовто-блакитний стяг над Давидовим Бродом. Слава Україні!
Davidiv Brid is 15 minutes from Velika Oleksandrivka, and it's a very important point in the defense of Kherson region. The battle for Davidiv Brid lasted from May to October of 2022. Over the course of half a year, our forces and the Russian forces completely obliterated the settlement. However, there was no other viable option that would not have resulted in this outcome. The defense lasted half a year, and in that time the school, the cultural center, and every private home were destroyed. So there are no buildings there that have survived intact, and any new buildings appearing now are only being constructed as part of reconstruction programs. However, since we were in a frontline region, these recovery programs don't appear quickly there because of the significant risk of repeated damage.
The occupation of Davidiv Brid started on the 9th of March, soon after Kherson itself. So the day after Kherson fell, they were already here, that is quite a lot of distance. that approach was really rapid back then in the beginning. This place is on a river called Inhulet, and logistics and supplies is everything in war. And so this crossing, this Inhulet river and the bridge across it, that was your main way of advancing further to the west, towards Mikolayiv, which is what they wanted to have. And so whoever controlled this had the control of having the decent supply line. So as soon as the Ukrainian forces liberated the place, basically the whole logistics just got cut in half, and it basically became a question of time of just how to retake everything else.
Definitely there is this aesthetic of art which is called turpism, and when you see, you know, destroyed buildings and people that are very hurt because of the foreign aggression, you realize you're not turpist yourself. And it's simply the aesthetic that it's hard to deal with.
But once this place got retaken, there was already momentum for taking everything back, because it was a huge hit to the logistics. And Snihurivka, which we will be visiting next, also played another important role in that. So it was all kind of playing out together, and one thing was leading into another. And because of how important that logistical crossing is, the fighting here has been the fiercest from both sides, because this place just meant so much for the rest of the entire region.
It seems like there is the level of experiences sometimes you can't get prepared before, and that's more or less what's up today. But then I was also very touched by the spirit of the boss of the culture palace, of the music school, and like the entire tour we get here was very, very inspiring in a sense, because you feel some sort of leadership and managing through really hardcore tough times, and trying to find allies, which is also very important, and being intact with what's going on.
Well, it just makes me really, really sad. I knew that this was happening, but it's very different when you see it firsthand. And the only question that I have today is why? Why would anybody do this? I feel deeply saddened about when we went through the music school. It was just such waste. Why would anybody do that? It's like warfare at the core. If you want to destroy the culture, if you want to destroy the music, the people, the things that people are fighting for. But of course the children gave a lot of hope. There is still hope when they are playing music, keeping the traditions alive and being happy doing it.
We concluded our day in Snihurivka at the local music school. We have also supported them throughout this year. After the liberation, their music school was completely destroyed. Nothing remains in its place. Now a local administrative services center has been built on the former site. And the music school is now sharing a common space with the old Palace of Culture, because the newer cultural center was severely damaged and burned to the ground.
Раніше наш прекрасний навчальний заклад прикрашав центральну площу міста, а тепер на його фундаменті збудовано нову будівлю вже.
Children are forced to study, very poor conditions. The building is cold and damaged due to its age, and during the fighting the roof was severely damaged.
For me, the shocking part of the story is literally ignorance of the world, and speaking with blood, discovering the things I didn't know, which means the news are broken. The algorithms are broken, and there's many things we don't hear.
Вистояла, в принципі, лише передня стіна будівлі і бокові сходи, ті самі, де були фото до.
It's quite overwhelming actually, like to see that and to see somebody. And do you know what amazed me the most was that she was still smiling all the way through. Like she was so welcoming all the way through. She was still smiling all the way through. She was just, and you can see that, and like there was a lot of emotion there, and like everything that you can feel everything that she went through, from just her speaking and looking at her. And even though I don't speak Ukrainian, I still understood what when she was speaking.
Прагнемо розвивати їх культурно, аби вони могли дивитися з упевненістю у майбутнє. Тому ми стукаємо в усі двері, звертаємося до усіх, хто може нам допомогти, адже самі ми не вистоїмо. Я вам дуже дякую, що ви відвідали нас, що ви переживаєте за нас, що вам не байдужа наша доля. Дякую. Дякую. Всього серця.
For people, especially those working in culture, it's always about inner drive and strength. Because very often cultural workers don't receive sufficient funding. And when you work in culture, it's absolutely certain you genuinely love what you're doing. Because if you didn't love it, you wouldn't work in this field, because it's not about money. It's not a field for gaining great influence or fame. So it's always about music and culture. And it's usually a hobby that has the potential to grow into a professional scene.
Without culture, there is no purpose to exist, I would say, because what you're protecting, one of the things that you are protecting is your culture, your identity. It's your how you understand yourself, what came from the older times. So, of course, when there is when aggressor comes, he tries to rewrite the history, tries to change the culture, to bring his own culture, maybe to burn the books or history. So it's very important to know who you are.
Today marks the final event where all of our ambassadors will have the opportunity to interact with Ukraine's music community here in Kyiv. We hope that this event will foster new collaborations and give our artists the chance to participate in festivals hosted by our international partners. The main goal of our project is to bring representatives of the music industry to Ukraine, both people we work with throughout the year at their festivals and new partners as well. So that together we want to explore how we can contribute to restoring our culture, our music schools, and other parts of the wider music ecosystem.
Honestly, I think until you come here, you don't really know the scale of destruction, and also on the other hand, you don't witness the bravery of the people and how standing strong you are. So I want to take this home with me. I think my values are right, but it's still shaking them, seeing this.
I knew that it would, because I arrived to my age of 55, understanding that when you take a step like this, it will change you. And it did. I mean, obviously, I feel much more luckier of my life. And, it does put in perspective your little problems that you have, and, about everyday problems that we have. And what it made me think about is whatever problem I have, I can actually overcome it. Because looking at the people overcoming the bigger problems in here, then you can, kind of understand that we can do, not to stop our life because of something that bothers us, but instead to, deal with that.
I have definitely sensed the courage and strength of Ukrainian people here, and it reminds me a lot of the concept of sisu we have in Finland, which is It's kind of a very positive way of strength and endurance, and it's not violent, it's not aggressive, it's like a inner force that we won't give up, even though we might have the lower hand in things, but we are still pushing through the most hardest times. And Finland indeed has experience of that also with Russia in the war that happened, and it makes this experience in Ukraine even more concrete to know that we share the same kind of history, and we share the long border with Russia. So SISU is needed in times like this, and I'm very proud of Ukrainian people of standing up like this.
Finland's war was a long time ago, but we are still carrying bits and pieces around. And now when war is going on in Europe, it of course reminds us of what our grandparents or great-grandparents went through. And it's horrifying to see that happening. And of course, it gives maybe some kind of perspective what is to come in Ukraine after. And those things are really hard to talk about, at least in Finnish culture.
Like every time witnessing what's going on here, I have in mind like how close are we to be the next on the list, and also about all the things we don't see, because that's the entire point. Like you don't see missing people, you don't see, the art that's stolen, as the works of kids were stolen from this place, which is like outstanding.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure being here. I'd also add that actually in because they've been made to feel so welcome in the country. And honestly, like from the get-go, it's been absolutely outstanding. Even yesterday, even though everything that the country is going through, everybody's, and you can see it's ingrained in people to be welcoming, and it's effortless. So it's just thank you. That's something else we could take out to us in Trinidad as well. We are very welcoming people, and we also feed people a lot, like we were here. So it's been fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
I want to believe that we managed to reach our ambassadors, and that from today on they will truly carry that role forward, not only until the end of the hostilities, but for years and years afterward, so that we can build lasting partnerships and feel confident in the people who come to us, and then in turn travel to their countries to work together